what's up, y'all? It's popping in. Steve about to react to this impressive vid. It's titled Beyonce Gets Called Out for Stealing from Other Songwriters. Artist Tiffany Red exposes everything. Beyonce been, getting some heat lately. I don't know what this is about, but sure. Let's see what she's getting called out for exactly. Let's watch.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Impressive channel. The songwriter Tiffany Red is exposing the industry, and she's also exposing Beyonce for taking credit for songs that she didn't write. Now, if you don't know who Tiffany Red is, she has written for artists like Jennifer Hudson, Fantasia, Tamar Braxton, Seven Streeter. She wrote Zendaya's hit song Replay. She's written for Cassie. In fact, not too long ago, she actually did a whole interview speaking out against Diddy on Cassie's behalf, and she actually witnessed Diddy mistreat Cassie. So she spoke out about that, and she's not backing down. She's exposing some more, and I'm telling you, this is the year of exposure because it seems like every week somebody is getting put on blast. Now, Tiffany has been speaking about the unfair practices in the music industry, and unfortunately, when songwriters write a song for artists, the artists get a percentage of the publishing, even though they didn't write a single thing. So this is very common. So Beyonce is one of the artists who's notorious for doing this. She not only gets credit for songs that she doesn't write, but she also gets a big percentage of the royalties. And that actually cuts into the money that the actual songwriters are supposed to make. And she's been kind of able to move around in the industry and do this because she makes songwriters sign an NDA when working with her.
So why y'all signing anything?
And they can't complain or speak out against her because she's Beyonce. I mean, who's going to check her?
Who's going to check me, boo?
Now, Tiffany Red has not worked with Beyonce in particular, but she is speaking out because she's tired of hearing about Beyonce's unfair practices, and she's tired of the industry.
Is it really unfair? And I'm not saying this just because it's Beyonce, because I have called Beyonce out before when she, was exposed for stealing those people's choreography. I acknowledge that, yes, girl, you stealing this. Yes, you talking about you took inspiration. You flat out stole this, okay? So when she's wrong, I say she's wrong. I say it's wrong. But in this case, I don't understand these songwriters who literally sign the NDA. They sign, the paperwork, but then they want to complain about it later. Why'd you agree to it? They can't legally, take more of the money without your consent. You're consenting. So I'm confused. Why did you agree?
Altogether, because the songwriters are not getting paid what they used to. I mean, the songs aren't really selling like they used to. They're being consumed through streaming, and streaming doesn't really give artists that much money like that. So no.
And I'm sure 95% of the shit that Beyonce does, okay, maybe this is a wild percentage to assign, but I feel like most of the things that she does, she's being advised to do these things. Her team, who knows the law very well, they're telling her, okay, you should give these contracts to the songwriters. You should be doing this. You should be doing that. So trying to make it seem like, oh, she's the evil mastermind behind it. I'm just like, bro, they're advising her what is best for her career and for her pockets and for her wealth. And she's like, okay, cool, let's do it. I don't think it's morally wrong if you're agreeing to it. I don't understand. Just don't agree to it then. That's just my take on it.
He is really getting paid for music like that. A lot of times artists have to go out and perform and make their money on the road. But when it comes to streaming, they get a little change here and there, and they have to split up the money so many different ways. And also a lot of the money goes to the labels, and the songwriters basically get pennies. They don't get paid enough to live on. They hardly get paid. And Tiffany is over it. She called Beyonce out. She actually called her out after Jay-Z gave his speech at the Grammys. Now, Jay-Z called out the Grammys for not giving Beyonce the Album of the Year award. And Tiffany said this in response to that. She said, maybe Beyonce will win the Grammy for Album of the Year when she starts paying songwriters and stops taking publishing from them. I hear it's around 15 to 30%, by the way. Grammys don't pay the bills. Hashtag pay songwriters. Beyonce, Jay-Z, Parkwood, and Rock Nation. Woo-wee! So this is a very interesting comment that Tiffany made, and it might actually give some more perspective into why Beyonce probably has not won Album of the Year. I do think Beyonce should have been won Album of the Year,
I don't think this
especially
has
for her
anything to do
album
with it.
Lemonade. That's just my personal opinion.
That
But
make no sense.
if it's an open secret in the industry that Beyonce has unfair business practices when it comes to paying her
Why they give her all
songwriters
those other
fairly,
Grammys then?
that probably could be one of the things that is hindering her. I'm not saying that's the case, but it could be a very plausible reason. Also, she's not really known for writing her music, and if you look at some of the past winners of Album of the Year, like Taylor Swift, Billie Eilish, Adele, John Baptiste, Bruno Mars, they are all known for composing their music. They are songwriters. Beyonce is not really known for writing her music, so it is possible that she probably is not winning Album of the Year because of those factors. However, there are more reasons than that. I do believe that the Grammys is highly political. The voters have their favorites, and I do think there is kind of a racial aspect to it because I don't understand why a black woman hasn't won Album of the Year in 20 plus years. Everyone knows that SZA should have won for SOS. It's a no-brainer. Even Billboard said that she should have won this year. She was snubbed for Album of the Year, but I don't want to get too off topic. I'm still upset about that. But anyway, back to Beyonce and Tiffany Red. Now, Tiffany Red called out Beyonce again in her live video. And this is what she said, y'all. She had a lot to say.
Y'all call the internet Beyonce's internet. So is it not fair to come to the queen about evolving her business practices? This is not the same music industry it was when she first started. Publishing makes far less money than it used to. If you're not writing a single, you're not making any money. So every percentage that we get of publishing matters because it's all we got and it's worth so much less now. But does that stop her from taking publishing despite that? No. Would I like to see a change? Would other songwriters and producers like to see a change? Yes. How do I know? Because they tell me all the time. It should not be too much to ask a queen to modernize her business and pay songwriters a livable wage. It's not too much to ask. She made $579 million off that Renaissance tour. Ask the writers how much they made. And when I was in the car, I heard that song, My Power by Beyonce. And I was listening to those lyrics and they just started to bother me. Because I was thinking, listening and it's saying, you won't take my power. And then when I think about how many songwriters that have written for this woman whose power has been taken, then it made me think about that song, Break My Soul, You Won't Break My Soul. And then I think about how many songwriters' souls have been broken as this woman has taken up the publishing, which is the only thing that they have. They're publishing, and a big chunk too. You're literally watching Beyonce get more famous, rich, bigger off these lyrics that you write, but you don't have anything to show for it. That's breaking somebody's soul. It makes me think about that song, Freedom. We don't just want to watch you be rich. How's that free? I think Beyonce is a brilliant artist. I also think that Beyonce is a hypocrite.
Became rich, though.
Don't pay the people who write them.
I'm sorry.
I talked to somebody yesterday. Somebody's a manager of somebody who is a writer and producer on Renaissance. Okay? The record is one of y'all faves. The song was written 6 years before it got to Beyonce. She got 25% of the song. I've talked to another writer who wrote and sang on one of your favorite songs. Credit not right, all kind of fucked up. His business still isn't handled. Beyonce was on tour last year with that record, with that person's vocals, all that. The reason why people who work for Beyonce don't talk is because they're all on NDAs. Because that's also how she works. She silences people so that nobody can speak. I'm not a writer that's written for Beyonce. I haven't shot my shot at Beyonce because I'm not willing to give her any publishing. Not because I haven't had the opportunity. I've had the opportunity to work with everybody. And I've turned down a lot of stuff because I'm not willing to play these games.
Exactly. So that's your power.
There's a massive power dynamic happening. Please don't act like it's easy to negotiate with Beyonce and her team because it is not.
Then you take
if that was the case, there would not be so many people coming to me like, Tiff, this is how much was taken. It's not negotiable. It's not. These are the terms.
Which so means, if she gets 25%, then they get 70%.
So that means you're an employer.
So
I remember having a conversation with a writer who wrote on...
Well, obviously not. They said it's split many different ways, so I'm sure they're getting way less than that. But what does that actually equate to? You got to give us some actual figures, because I'm confused. Because if the song does really well, sells really well, and Beyonce is getting 15 to 25%, then it's like, what are they getting from these mega hits that are making millions of dollars? Like, I'm confused. I need more context.
What was the record Beyonce did after?
Let's speed this up, because
I've
stopped it too many times.
I can't remember whatever the record was. I remember talking to one of the writers and talking to them about how much of the publishing she was taking. And this writer was like, look, Tip, I don't want no smoke with me. Like, I just let her take the publishing. That's bullshit.
Why agree then?
And you know, the thing that burns me up the most about Beyonce, and this is why I'm speaking about her specifically, is because Beyonce is Queen Bee. Beyonce is a black artist. Beyonce represents black excellence. Beyonce's team, like the people who work with her, these writers that I'm talking about that are exploited, they're us. My comments about Beyonce not winning Album of the Year and me saying, you know what, maybe karmically it's not coming to you because of the way that you're doing creatives, I meant that with everything in me. I hear the racial discussion and all the things, and I think that has its place. But this has its place too. Beyonce can absolutely reform her business practices. Beyonce can absolutely reform Parkwood's business practices. It's a decision. It's a fucking choice.
How do you know that's smart for
It's a choice to take 25% of publishing that you didn't earn.
But
that's wage theft. That's what that is. That's bullying. That's abuse of power. That is the power dynamic. That's the gun. People out here think they're going to lose their opportunities, lose their jobs, lose their relationships, lose everything trying to negotiate. And y'all fucking know that shit. I'm not saying wait on Beyonce. I'm not. But I am going to say what I need to say about it, because for the last almost 4 years now, I have had so many writers come to me about her specifically. People's splits still aren't done. People still aren't getting paid. People still aren't being seen. People still aren't being heard. People are still being silenced. People are still under NDAs and some more. While Jay-Z's up there on Sunday talking about why it's not fair Beyonce don't got a Grammy for Album of the Year. So hell yeah, I had something to say. Because it's hypocrisy. Also, not for nothing, Taylor Swift is a songwriter. She writes her albums.
So that's what Tiffany had to say, and she's really calling Beyonce to the table right now and trying to get her to change. And honestly, I think Beyonce needs to take heed to this message, because this is probably the reason why she hasn't won Album of the Year for real. Beyonce has the most Grammy wins in history, and that's due to some of her connections on the Grammy board. I do believe that Jay-Z is a part of the voting committee, and some people say that he might even be a part of the secret voting committee. But even with all of those connections, there are some people who still won't give her that Album of the Year. They're intentionally snubbing her. And who knows, maybe it's because of her practices behind the scenes.
You think they give a fuck about that?
But I do find it interesting that this is an open secret in the industry, but songwriters still want to work
You think they
with her.
care?
And the question is,
morally, Beyonce isn't doing the right thing, so let's not give her Album of the Year, even though we're on some corrupt bullshit as well, and we're snubbing people. That don't make any sense. They're not like morally superior and keeping Album of the Year from people who aren't doing the right thing, like they're the moral police. That makes no sense, in my opinion.
why? Why work with her, then complain about it? Like, what's the reason?
Hello?
You know how she gets down? You know that she's not trying to pay y'all? You know you're going to be sitting there working in the Parkwood sweatshop all day long, slaving in the studio, overworked and underpaid, and you probably won't even get the recognition you think you're going to get.
Me.
And the question is it all really worth it? I mean, I understand how big it is for a songwriter to have Beyonce's name on their resume. It's a big deal, but it doesn't pay their bills.
But is
Can
that
you pay
worth?
my bills? Can you pay my
Are you able to
bills?
negotiate
No,
a
she's
higher
not gonna pay
price
your
in the
bills.
future?
So why work with her? I think what it boils down to is this. There are some people in the industry who are willing to set aside their principles and their standards in order to rub shoulders with bigger names. And this happens a lot when it comes to Beyonce. A lot of people are willing to just shut up, suck it up, and just be happy with the fact that they get to work with Beyonce. At the end of the day, it is their choice. So they have nobody to really blame but themselves. They shortchange themselves when they sign up for that, knowing they're not going to get paid what they're rightfully owed. However, I do think Beyonce needs to start paying attention to this. I hope she watches this video. I hope she sees what Tiffany Red said and realizes that people are whispering about her behind the scenes. And this could be why she hasn't gotten that album of the year. So for her next album, her country album, she needs to strongly consider changing the way she does things. She really does. So anyway, tell me what y'all think.
I don't agree. I think that there's a certain way of doing certain business practices, and it's advised for her to do certain shit. They're like, hey, this is the typical rate, that people take, da-da-da-da. We advise you do this. And I feel like Beyonce is just like, okay, let's do it. And it's like, if y'all don't want to work with her because y'all feel like she not paying enough, or she's taking too big of a percentage, then don't work with her. But like Impressive said, it does look good for you, because now you can put on your resume that you wrote this song for Beyonce. When you get more money from the song because Beyonce made it a hit, you claiming that, a really popular song on Renaissance was written 6 years before it got to Beyonce. Was it making any money at all? Did anybody else buy it? But okay, Beyonce finally got it and it blew up. So now you're able to profit off of it. But had Beyonce not added her magic touch, it would not have had any success. It would have just been sitting in your vaults. But I don't know the business exactly, so I need more information. So excuse my ignorance, but she's not giving a lot of context. But I'm just trying to put the pieces together based on, the limited knowledge that I have as far as, how this, whole ordeal works. But I would just think that, Beyonce made the song explode and you're able to get money from it because it's Beyonce and it's gonna sell because it's fucking Beyonce. So maybe that's also why she takes a bigger percentage, because she's like, bro, if I take your song, I'm gonna make it a hit and it's going to do really well, so you're going to already make hella money. Versus if you give it to fucking JoJo. Sorry, this is no shade to JoJo. This is no shade to JoJo. I have to think of an artist, a singer who's not really doing anything right now. Anyway, it's not gonna do nothing. So JoJo can, give you a much larger percentage of it because she's JoJo, but this is Beyonce. So of course she's gonna be like, okay, I'm taking more. Am I tripping? But again, I don't know the ins and outs of this business at all. I know fucking nothing actually. So I'm only going based on, the little that I do know, and based on what she said. But there could be more to it. But I mean, even Impressive said, like, hey, you just don't have to work with her. That's what it really comes down to. You don't have to work with Beyonce. If you're this great songwriter, take your business elsewhere to people who are offering you a more fair wage. That's what I think makes the most sense. But that's just my opinion. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Let me know what other videos you want to watch, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.